some frames out of a different hive and added a queen to that?
That's apparently what he did to this one closest to us.
You're
The
right.
one next to that was a
That's
swarm that he
swarm.
caught a few weeks ago. And then the one next to that, the tallest of these three, was established and overwintered. So that's one of his honey makers. So if we can do it when he's looking the other way, we'll taste some honey too.
At least stick your finger in it.
And he has asked that we mark queens if they're not marked, so we'll do that too. Does anybody have any questions before we
not yet.
start? Okay. You're setting up your hives if they're real close together like this, plus on a bench. So just be aware that there may not be much room for other people. So if you always want somebody to help you, make it to where they can get between the hives. I like to smoke the front because there's typically a line of guard bees at the front. And by smoking
See
the
if I
front,
can
you
kill
keep
myself
them
here.
from sending so much of a scent back to everybody else to say there's intruders coming, be ready to sting them. And you
Get
decide
stand in
on
front
your
of me.
own
That's cool, man. I'm not allergic.
how you want to work a hive. I prefer to be pretty easy with. Now look at all these bees on this inner cover. That should give you a little bit of an idea what might be in there. Probably pretty full of bees.
Yeah, a lot more.
This time of year, would he still need to add room? That's kind of a tricky question, so think about what we see.
Yeah, looks
Probably
like it.
so. Yeah. Probably so. Bees are still in the mood to draw out wax in late May and June, although they're coming to the time of year where they're not so crazy about it anymore. So if you're going to need to put on extra supers, you don't want to put on a whole lot right now. There's hardly any nectar for them to be drawing out wax or to be filling it up with honey. So again, I prefer to sort of go easy with bees.
That was no suit for you, huh?
Well,
Like
we'll
my
see.
grandpa used to do.
We
Well,
will
yeah, I know
see.
it depends on the hive.
They might make me put on the suit, but so far what I'm seeing, they seem like they're okay with our
Nancy,
design.
why would he stay in the nuke at this point?
Oh, great question.
Hard.
That Priscilla is asking why keep him in a nuke at this point? That's an excellent question. Now this was one he just started a few weeks ago.
Wow.
So he could have, if it was early May, he could have started it in a 10 frame or 8 frame box. And that would have been all right too. At this point, and I think y'all can see, this is really full of bees.
Yeah.
Now, that might be a little misleading if this here isn't really much drawn out. It might be that he added this one last and put it in between these two. And that's certainly a reasonable thing to do. But if everything here is full of bees, then Danny has the choice to transfer them into an 8 frame hive, although 2 of these are supers. So he could just have one 8 frame hive body and add some more frames to that and put both of these into one 8 frame super. I mean, there's a lot of options at this point. If he doesn't want to do any of that, he could just add another nuke.
Let them winter in the nuke.
Yeah, because bees will overwinter better like this than they
Rather than
will like
wide.
that. If you've got a limited group. In other words, now a hive like this, yeah, I would keep them in the big boxes, these established ones. But if you're either, you can split hives up until about the middle of July. You could split them later if you wanted, but every week after that, you're taking more and more of a risk that they won't build up adequately for the winter. Part of that is that queen isn't laying as many eggs every day in July as she was in March or April. So in this situation, because they're apparently going to need more room, then it's up to Danny what he wants to do in terms of moving them into something else or simply adding another box. It's conceivable when you think about how bees grow, with a productive queen, it's conceivable he may end up having to add 2 more new hive bodies. They'll probably draw out and fill up at least 1 more. He could add a second. And that wouldn't be too tall to go through the winter. Now, being that sometimes there are storms, in the summer. He'd want to somehow either have a way to strap them or whatever, because as they get tall, they're more likely to blow over in a storm.
Let me say one thing in there. We had a bad wind back a while back, and I didn't have blocks on top, and it blew 2 tops off, not the garden tops, but the light tops, and it was a mess. It rained that day. I thought I had lost hive, but I didn't. Nancy, see if you got something.
I don't want to read. I don't want to mess you up. Let me show. Can I show you one thing to
Yeah.
see if you realize? It's something that it can happen at any hive there is just because you have them on. Let's see. You see this hive? What do you see? All right. What do you see on the frame? Well, as a matter of fact, I had the queen.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The queen's right there. I
Yeah.
just got her out of this super.
Yeah.
With the queen excluder on.
Right.
Ah.
So there is a gap somewhere
She got through.
that she got through just because, and like I said, I didn't mean to interrupt, but this is just something that you don't always see, but it can happen. Just because you got a queen excluder on, don't mean she's
talk
not there.
I'm
I think
sorry.
there's hot
Yes, ma'am.
wire behind you.
Yeah.
Talk about another reason, Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
that you might find brood
Just
up
making
above a
noise.
queen excluder. What would be another possible reason?
Yeah,
Maybe they made a new queen.
Maybe 2 queens
that's right.
and one other. If she was originally trapped above the
she
queen
was
excluder.
up-
Yeah.
That's right.
Do you
Yeah.
totally feel like queen excluders are necessary? Because I don't have them.
That's a real
Personal.
That's a deep
individual
subject.
decision.
Okay.
Really
Some
is.
people say, yep, and I'm going to put them on every spring.
So you got the
And
queen
some
in there.
people say,
Yes,
I
I
would
do.
never use one. I only keep them
have.
around in case I want to grill hot dogs and don't have a grill.
Well, let me say this: when we put that queen excluder on there, we put the queen down.
Okay.
Did you just happen to
Yeah.
see the queen up there?
Yes.
Eggs. Saw eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
saw
I could see
brood
eggs.
first.
I knew,
Yeah.
I knew the queen's up
Well,
there.
is she small or what?
no.
How
No,
would-
there's
no,
if
she's a
if
good-sized
they
queen.
were sure that she was down when they put the queen excluder on, then like Chris says, there's a gap somewhere and she sneaked through.
And I haven't got to that brood chamber yet.
Smile while she gets your food.
So,
What are the brood cells
with the amount of bees in it, it looks like there's a gap
Yeah,
somewhere.
we'll go through that when we
You got
get
it
to
marked?
this other
That's right.
hive here. That's very interesting.
And it's just something that different things, and it's just about going in and looking. I don't know yet. I don't know where she's at, but if this was original or whatever, we'll find out in just a minute. But I just wanted to show you, hey, look,
Yeah.
before I go any farther, that you can come up with things that you're not sure why.
Now you're going to put her down below.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And that some of it will
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, all the brood that's up here will come out.
they'll finish.
That's right.
And then if
hatching
there
out of
were still more nectar to come in, they could still fill
They'll
those
use it.
cells with
They'll-
nectar
that.
and
That'll clean
honey.
it up.
That's right.
Okay.
And
They'll-
there'd
they'll-
be no problem with extracting it.
They will
Okay.
backfill. But there are day-old eggs in this super, plenty of them.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Then I guess you determine if she gets back through that queen excluder or just take that one off.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know if anybody's got any good eyes, but I've got a good frame of fresh one-day laid eggs.
Well, I ain't got good eyes, but I won't see it.
But it takes
I have
good
horrible
eyes.
eyes. Let me-
Every one of the cells has a grain of sand look. Let me move this super smoker.
things. But you put them on, and then you got your thing on there.
Every cell in here has got an egg, whether it be a day-old egg or a larva. Like right here is probably 4-day-old larva right here. It's a little bit bigger, maybe 5. If you see a little grain of what looks like a little grain of dirt, sand, it's an egg. It's a little tiny egg that's just sitting at the bottom down there. Within 3 days, that egg will lie down the correct way in a pool of royal jelly, which will start turning into larvae.
Sun helps you to see it a little bit better
It does, but every hole has got a speck. It's a little white speck that within days will turn into a larva and
See, my
expand
eyes-
bigger.
I
You'll
don't
be
see-
able to see.
Look at that real close, Jim.
My eyes are like,
The
Mine
larva
too.
right in here, the white larva, and that's probably 4 or 5 day old larva.
I'm glad you live close, Woody, so whenever we
But there are specks, eggs in every single cell there is.
I always look for the cap.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I can see them when they get to the larva stage, when they're
down in there.
a little bit bigger,
It's hard,
little
but
curly.
and,
I see a little dark.
That was great that you could get
and I
in
tell
there
you
close
what,
like
if you
that.
want to
But
pop
the-
your veil
but the
off, you
eggs,
can
I
see it a
don't.
lot easier. Their bees are calm. They're not. They are good. You take that veil off, you'll be able to see. That black's taking a lot from you. In every cell, there's one spot. You see them how easy that is there?
Yep.
There's plenty of them there. Every cell has either got an egg or larva of some stage in it.
Yep.
So he could take that to a new nuke if he wanted to split.
If he had,
Well, it's in a super
yes,
frame though.
yes, if he had a super hive that's just boiling with bees, he wanted to make a split with this hive, being the parent queen, wanted a queen off this hive into a hive that he just had a pile of bees. Yes, he could make that queenless, take it across the yard, put this in, feed real good, so you'll have your queen. They got a wide variety of eggs to come off of, which the larvae they couldn't use, but the eggs, yes. They could use like up to 3 day old larva. Of course, that's when it turns to larva, 3 days after the eggs laid, is what they would use to produce the queen cells.
That's a big calm hive right there.
Real good, real good. Real good hive. Now we're gonna see what the deal is with this queen. But that's a good thing too. If you ever find your queen, we're not worried about now killing this queen. Not worried about it.
So we can go in the hive.
Unless there's a second queen in there somewhere. And we've had a hive with 2 queens in it, but it wasn't doing this well.
Yes, it's not gonna
With
last.
the 2 queens, they were like in competition, and it just never did real good until we got rid of the winged queen. And we really didn't know why it wasn't doing well until we found the second queen.
That deep pretty well filled up too, don't it, Chris?
She got up top when she was smaller, Danny. Somehow after she got,
That honey there ain't.
yep, she wasn't in this bottom at all.
So when she was skinny, she got through that
Got through there.
queen excluder.
Right quick. The center frames is where your eggs and larvae are gonna be. Yeah, it's all pollen,
Yep.
which is cool. Oh, there's a queen right there.
You're kidding. It's second queen.
You want to get that other?
Yeah.
Can one of y'all hold this minute?
With eggs, yeah, we got eggs in this too.
Wow.
We got 2 queens.
Oh. Yep.
You want to see the weight? Feel the weight?
Yeah.
Watch it behind you. Trying to catch that queen.
So there you got your starting for another nuke.
Yep.
That's pretty cool little gadget.
Let me make sure she's productive because we know that one is. Yes. We got 2 production queens here.
Yep.
You can make you a split and do what you want to. You got two mated queens. That's something you just don't see at all.
Well, we had, like I said, we had one, but the hive wasn't doing as well because there was 2 queens in it.
That's right.
His was separated by the queen excluder.
Yeah, and this one's got fresh eggs everywhere.
Crazy.
Once again, it's harder to see with your veil on, but there is larvae of all stages in here. It's loaded down, loaded. If you can see the glimmer, I don't know if you can see the white glimmer in there. That's royal jelly that larva's laying in, plenty of it.
All right, what do you suggest?
You got a nuke box?
got a hive sitting over here. Yeah, but I got nukes too. I mean, you want me to go get a nuke?
Yeah, we can feed the hound out of them and put them in. Either one. Nukes are easier to control with a smaller amount of.
We're gonna pull frames out and put in a
So
nuke.
we got a super of eggs right here too that one queen's going to already be using.
You tell me what we need. I got a nuke sitting up there. I just don't have any frames in it.
And we'll have
But I got
you got empty frames.
I got empty frames over here.
Well, let's do that. Let's get a nuke, put them in, make a little small one. We'll put that queen that was down here in the nuke. That's pretty wild right there. That's
Well,
something you don't
sometimes
see.
beekeeping requires you to think right in front of the box. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now what do I have to do? This is what I found.
Yep, make a hive right there. That's good. So we know that was a brand new queen that we put in. This one's actually has made another queen. And that excluder might have helped out with that. I don't know. Sometimes
Yeah, because neither one of them could get to each other,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Yeah, and I wonder if the bottom didn't start. I don't know how to.
Think it was without a queen and then made another one? Who knows?
The hive has made, yes, both
Who
of these
knows?
are new queens because these started out new. The hive has made a queen.
It just goes to show you go in with an intention to do something in your hives,
Every
but
time. It's
they,
Mother Nature.
yep, they got you doing something else.
That is her.
Look at
Pretty
that.
queen too.
Yep.
Good size. Nice queen. Anything can happen. It's Mother Nature.
Yep.
They're trying to cone up down there.
No,
I'm
Nancy
sorry,
told
sir.
us one time, think like a bee. It's like, that's difficult sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. It's Mother Nature.
Yep.
It is Mother Nature. It's you're just trying to do what you can do to raise some bees and get a little honey, but whatever happens is up to them.
That nerve's gonna get through there to her.
That's right, and they're attendants. They can. Same hive. The workers are able to get to that excluder with no trouble.
Have you ever seen this before, this situation here?
No, I have seen two queens in a hive, but not a hive that has been going. I've seen one after during or after a swarm.
Right, when they're all hatching out.
When there has been many queens made.
You'll put it deep on there.
I might set this right over here and just take the frames.
All right, so they're gonna be splitting that hive. We're gonna go back over to Nancy and see what
I need to level that up through here.
Nancy's got over here.
There are workers, sort of flatter, as opposed to these bullet-shaped
Get in
drones.
there.
And here's one worker chewing her way out. She has finished the stage of being a pupa.
Oh,
She's
I see
ready
the
to-
little like come
antennae.
out. Yeah.
She's ready to come out into the world. Now, none of the other bees are going to help her. Sometimes I'll gently sort of help pry back that
Now you
cap
called it a her. It's
because it's a worker bee by
a
itself.
worker.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I'm just helping her out a little bit.
When it fell down.
That one looks new. So did those.
So that's a new one right there?
Yeah, these look new. So
There's one right here.
We'll help you get back up there, you poor little baby.
And which ones are the drone cells, the ones that poke up a little more?
yeah, drones are bigger. And let's see if I can.
Along the side.
There's okay.
Right down there.
See that kind of big fat bee there?
Mm-hmm.
That's a drone.
Okay.
What's this thing right here on the end? That
That's a
worm
drone
looking thing.
cell.
Okay, that's what I
The
thought.
drone pupa.
Yeah, and right there too.
Notice how big his eyes are.
Yep,
yeah.
yeah, there you go. That's right, their eyes meet. I remember reading that.
The drone
The
eyes
eyes
are
meet.
bigger,
Yep.
and that's one way to distinguish a drone from a queen
I
bee.
never waste drones.
Hmm.
Her eyes are small like a worker.
Okay.
Right.
Now, if you need practice seeing eggs, this frame is full of eggs. Lots of eggs on both sides of the frame.
Can't ever see those little buggers.
So you want to have the sun to your back, or whatever kind of light you have to your back, and then let the light shine in that cell. And sometimes you have to, move around like this to where the light is just right, and it's like a miniature grain of rice.
Let me get a shot in there.
And this tells you how productive is this queen. You can't always go by the capped brood pattern, which we'll see on next or a few frames from here. We'll see a lot more capped brood.
Yeah, they're splitting it
But
because they
to
found
tell
two
how well a
queens.
queen is doing,
Remember
you
that
gotta look
hive
at
at
the egg
Phyllis of mine that we had, what, 5 or 6 of
Well,
them?
that's because they were they
Alright.
just
Full of
swarmed.
eggs.
Yeah, but why do we have so many?
Because they'll make
I was gonna ask
They'll
if you
make
wanted me to hold it. No.
5, 10, 15
That's a-
queens when they're getting ready to swarm. They'll make that
Ah,
many.
okay.
When I pulled it to
This,
Right.
I think, was because they
And
had the
what
queen
they do is
excluder
they
on
suck
it.
off any protein juice that's
No,
liquid there,
but
and then they'll carry
maybe
the dry
maybe because
carcass
she, I don't know.
But he's got some
That one
hives too. I thought they looked small. I thought it was probably my chemo head, but they were only 8-frame hives, and
because of all the eggs on
Yeah,
there.
we do
The queen might be.
You do 10 or 9 with a
Okay.
either
spacers.
9 or 10. Usually mine are. I've been making stuff this week, so they're 10s in the hive bodies, and sometimes the supers are 9s. Usually.
In this hive, one option for Danny would have been 2 weeks ago to add another super, and they'd probably have it most of the way drawn out by now. I'm not saying he messed up by not doing that. It's just a matter of how quickly and how regularly you can get to them to optimize things. Yep, more
Oh
eggs.
my goodness.
A lot more eggs, more capped brood. That sort of yellowish.
So that's capped brood right in there.
And
Okay.
those are workers.
Oh, another one just fell. A little
Yeah.
right there.
They'll be alright.
They'll eat it.
Oh,
Somebody
yeah.
will eat it.
Drone pupa also. And as is typical, drones, when they are raising drones, a lot of times it's either up in the corners or along the bottom or along the top.
Okay.
And so you see the drones there. Whereas when they're tossing out larvae or pupae, usually it's one of two reasons. Either there's something wrong with those developing bees, they're sick, and they're being tossed out because they're dying, or the hive is starving,
There wasn't food. They laid too many too quick.
or they didn't get enough food to account for the population. And so when they start running that low on food, they start getting rid of the babies, which is kind of sad to see.
Yeah.
Honeybee abortions.
Yeah. Infanticide. The queen may have laid all these eggs and gone back down to
I was going to say, so far we haven't seen her.
the bottom.
Like open cells down there, she would relay down there, right?
Yes. She tends to go up and down, back and forth, wherever she can find
Ooh, we
it.
got a lot there to hatch.
That's a nice capped brood pattern.
All that.
Yeah. See how full that is. Very few holes.
Now, what is
in
that
there.
up in there? Is that
Honey?
That's for them to eat?
Yes.
Okay.
How long does it take for that to hatch now when it's all capped?
So it's 16 days?
Well, the time that it's in a pupa as a worker bee is 12 days.
Wow.
3 days as an egg, 6 days as a larva, 12 days as a pupa. So you keep
Okay.
doubling the number.
Okay.
3 times 2
That's
is 6,
good.
6 times 2
Yeah,
is
it's
12.
21.
I can probably remember that.
Right, 16 the queen.
Have the
24 is
sun
the
at your
drone?
back,
There
let
you
the
go.
sun
Okay.
shining down inside the.
And when there are more drone cells, now I don't see an overabundance in this hive like I have. That means they're thinking of swarming. Is that what that means?
It could be that they're
Near the middle.
preparing to swarm. They just want them, they tend to make a lot of drones in the spring, especially if there are a lot of big cells on there. Varroa mites are one of the
It's
worst
hard to
pests
see.
ever to happen to
One
honeybees.
side was easier to see than the
And
other.
so, because they prefer drones, you can find Varroa if they're in there by opening.
And what is that you're looking at?
Looking at the eggs.
The eggs just lay the egg and then they
Those
start
are like laid,
You inspect the mite
I
too,
would think,
huh?
within a day or so.
They'd be right on there at the spot.
They're beyond the pupae most of the time.
Oh, really?
Did you see the eggs?
We're not seeing them.
I can't see the eggs.
Right.
I've seen them before at my hive, but I can't see them in here.
The sun has to be just right for me
Are
to
you
be
able
able
to
to see
see?
him.
I can't ever see, and I feel as though, usually I feel as though it's my mask. Let me peek, and she said
I was
the
gonna
sun-
say, I think the mask might have something to do with it too. That I can't see.
Yeah, the
good.
veil can be kind of distracting.
Yes.
I wish they
Okay,
made the
well-
veil white,
Yeah.
Well,
Or it
these-
has
Not-
a clear panel or something.
not black.
over it.
Yeah, yeah,
What
not
I'm
black.
seeing is, if those are, they're almost starting to grow a little bit. What
Are
I'm
they
seeing.
beyond?
I'm seeing that. Now she said the little cell will be right in the center, but they almost look like they've started to.
rely very heavily on genetic stock, which I think
I can see them good as larvae. I don't have a problem.
Yeah,
If I
same
see
here.
larvae and capped, I figure good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to aggravate
So
myself.
far, I have not
Okay, the
seen
sun.
too
Come
much
around a
stuff
little bit
like
because the sun is coming back.
What kind of bees
out.
you got?
I struggled. Lost
I
the
guess
queen the
that's
first
what
year I
I'm
had 'em.
seeing right in the center there, because she says that's what they do. They pop it right in the center, and
Next week or so. Don't know where I'm gonna get them from, but
I guess.
Well, if you get any that are, the genetics that can't tolerate mites, then your idea is on chemistry.
Yeah, that's an excellent way, with the sun
See it now,
And
Ashley?
I know that
into
sounds
the.
very pessimistic, but that's the nature of bees right now.
Ashley,
Most-
she's ready for that. Okay.
Most of the
Clean.
hives in the United States at this point in time are women, particularly regarding oral mite tolerance. And until people actively make an effort to change that genetically,
Ashley.
that's the way it's going to be.
I don't
The
know.
oral mites are adapting very well.
are they?
I don't know if my hive has any mites or not.
They all do,
What
don't they,
strains of
Nancy?
bees?
Do they?
I think
To some
I
extent.
read like Russian bees.
It's the
They're very
threshold
tolerant,
that you've
Or
got to be
tolerant.
worried about.
but it's
Just the
hard
what?
to get
The
pure
threshold,
Right.
the number
Yeah, I found
in
some
the
website.
hive.
I
When
sent
it
them an
gets
email and
a
they never responded back,
high
so you
number
never
in the
know.
hive,
Somebody just
then
playing around on the
they'll
internet
probably
trying to
starve
act
in the
all
winter.
fancy.
So like
That's why you
with
treat
the
them
Italian bees,
in the fall.
if you
Or
found a hive that was strong
test them
against
and
them,
treat
you
them.
would try to like expand those bees. That's what you're talking about, genetic.
So what type of bees are these?
These are Italians. They seem very strong, very hardy. There are some Italians that can withstand mites just fine and some that can't. Italians is a very large family
Yeah.
of
Right.
bees. It's sort of like
y'all are
having...
looking for a swarm, I just got a call from a guy, said he's got a swarm in the backyard of his house.
I
He
need
wants
some
one.
bees.
He's ready to go.
I need some. I got a medium
All right.
10 frame, 3 box length trough. I need some
In your
bees.
truck with you?
No, my,
Well, how
my
you
wife.
gonna get that
Yeah,
swarm?
I know. My
They'll
wife
ride
is,
in the back seat.
My wife is a color run.
Listen, when you come to a field day in the
I
spring, you
told
bring an
her.
empty box with you.
I thought
I
about
told her I
I
needed
thought
my
about
truck.
doing
That
that,
does
too.
make
Because
sense.
last year, or the year before, we caught that swarm at Phyllis's.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bet Danny will hook you up.
Believe me, I'm not
See,
happy.
listen.
'Cause that-
He's over there.
Yeah,
You got an empty
look.
box. You to have a hive
I know.
brought home with you. He wouldn't know the difference. 'Cause
There's a
they're
bunch of
building
empty
up so
boxes.
quickly.
They're doing the color run at
It's
ZMAX
getting hot now.
Speedway, and that
Yeah.
thing doesn't have air conditioning. They were going to be hot, they said. Oh, we need AC. I'm like, man, I need my truck
I gotta
today.
go with them on that boat, you need AC.
Oh yeah, you do.
Whenever you get done running a 5K, I guess you do.
He called me the house, he kinda watches over this house, that's for a white store.
Nancy, I have a question
Yeah, it's
about.
not close to
Do
here.
you know much about Russians?
It's probably Ashley Swarm. She's
I have a friend that
You know where
kind of
Mills
has
Place
stated
Church
that
is?
he
I live
doesn't
in
think he
Wesley
needs to
Chapel, right
treat
next
his
to
bees
Mount
because
No,
they're
this is-
Russians.
Yes.
Out in the country, no, not.
What's your
town
take on
middle.
that?
If they're pure Russians, he probably doesn't need to.
Really? Okay.
But people say they have Russians and they've got hybrids of Russians. And then you're not guaranteed that they're going to be tolerant to mice.
So you still do the sugar roll to check.
I would.
Yep.
Even if I thought they were pure Russians,
Okay.
to confirm that.
Okay.
But if let's say you had 2 hives, one was Russians and one wasn't, when you started, the next year one of them swarmed. That new queen, you don't have any guarantee that she's going to mate with enough Russian drones to continue all that. And it might be the drones are wimpy about bee mite tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
The tolerance to mites is a recessive gene. So you got to have it in both parents
Grab
to
a swarm of bees.
likely have it
Oh,
in
good
most,
job,
if not
buddy,
all,
good
the
job.
offspring.
So
if you got a pure Russian mother queen, and she mates with 15 different drones, none of which are Russians,
Right.
you're going to have a small percentage of the offspring who will continue those Russian characteristics, but most of them won't. So then you've sort of diluted the
Fades
gene
out.
pool.
Right. Right.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, depending on what your goals are with your bees. But that's why it's so hard to keep pure Russians, because not enough other people have them.
Yeah.
So if you want
It would
them
be
and
really
you
hard,
want
yeah.
to keep them,
Take care.
bye. Then I'm not offended if you want to go and grab that swim.
No, I'd have to, I live 40 miles away, and my wife's got the truck at the Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Z-Max.
Just keep your windows rolled up. They'll stay inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wear your suit.
Yeah.
Keep your windows rolled up. That's somebody that's really desperate for some bees.
No, I need some really bad. I've had my hive for 2 weeks.
You're chomping at the bit.
Yep.
know,
Get
I
you some
am.
bees
I'm
in
like,
it.
There-
Get some bees.
Have you heard of Barry's Bees or the Honey Pot? He's in Indian Trail.
Honey
No?
house.
Huh?
Honey house.
Honey House.
Dennis Berry.
Everybody wants to
Well,
charge
Rocky-
like 150,
Rocky
200 bucks.
Selling.
Hives.
Yeah.
Oh, he was gonna sell whole hives. My daughter's
Do,
boyfriend who's supposed to
do a
get
web
here.
search.
Mhm.
Go to get a hive.
He's real helpful.
Look at that.
Oh, that's a good
nice.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Look, Ashley.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
It's so funny when they hang like that.
Now tell them why those are dark and the other.
What do you think? Why this might be darker wax covering the brood?
Older wax.
Older, yeah.
Yep.
Old frame, been walking a lot.
Yep.
What do you mean older wax? Where'd they get it?
They
Well, it's-
from right around this same
So
frame.
they take the wax.
They use some from on the frame already. Lots of larvae. What's going to happen with this population?
That is too full as far as I'm concerned.
It's
Everything's full. There's no place to.
all these yep, and all the broods are ready to
See?
come out.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and personally, I
He's gonna have
put
another
that in
swarm.
And he's only
8 or
had
10
it in there
frame.
how long?
A few weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What's he
my
need to
swarm
do,
did.
Ad?
It just took
Does
off
he need
like
to move
crazy.
them to an
My
empty
bees aren't
box?
that
or-
productive.
Well, he
at all.
has another queen.
No, mine aren't.
cell.
Ours aren't
He's got
either.
all those boxes right there. I mean,
He could make a split.
right there, he's got all those new boxes.
That's good.
And it's just
Sure,
games.
why not?
So next
Triple.
Wednesday, next Wednesday,
Yep.
it's a 2-week again.
See how calm they are. It's easy to
Throw off an email.
They are calm, aren't they?
So how would we know if these bees are planning to swarm?
Yeah.
How would we know?
Let's
that's
see
a great
a
Queen
question.
cell,
queen cell.
which wouldn't surprise me if you come upon one.
And if we
Well, that's
even
cool.
see one queen cell that's somewhere down near the bottom or the edges of the frame, that tells me they've already been planning and they're
Yeah.
going to do
Yep.
it.
Well, Nancy, that's why they're laying up above. They're pretty much filling up. Well, they got less space,
It's a good thing
I've
you have
got
another
another
queen.
hive if we need it.
Yeah,
He
this-
says you
this
do. She's saying you do, for
This one
sure.
needs more. Do you want to put them into an 8-frame box, or do you want to add another nuke box to these?
Well, I'd probably rather put them in an 8-frame. Hang on just a minute. Let me get this
All right.
Danny has got a hopping apiary.
So that's really why they're laying up above.
He's got some stuff. I'm hustling to get stuff I need. I need to build frames and
You haven't
stuff.
found her yet, huh?
How long have you been doing these?
So what area do you live
Uh,
Live down right down by the facility.
in?
Right by
Yep,
King
that's
Creek.
where we are too.
Right by
Yeah,
King
little
Creek.
Yep.
shape thing.
Yeah, I remember you.
Ours aren't near as active as this and productive and like building up population like that. It's like wow.
And I'll pass this frame around because on this side I'm looking at now, in the middle, there's a
I
lot
told
of
you my
larvae.
daughter's boyfriend
They're
was getting
young
a hive from Rocky.
larvae.
Rocky just called. He's
Full
almost
of
here.
white liquid.
And Rocky
They're
just
really
called him.
being fed well.
Finally called him
and that's
back.
what you want to
Next
see.
one we're
Say,
gonna
hey,
put
can you meet me in Monroe in 20 minutes?
right here in between these.
Wherever you want it.
Oh, I forgot.
Do you want us? Do you need
So he
help?
might have to go
Yeah,
to
let's
Monroe.
all
Yeah.
do this as a
Get him a
group.
hive.
Rocky in
Either that or
20
tell
minutes.
him he's got
Want me to hold that one?
Another new.
That one?
Are you
first one
are you
gets
making
the
a
hive.
move or what?
So when he gets here,
These
I
are
don't
moving
know if
these
he needs
into
my
an
help
8-frame
'cause he
hive.
doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. Actually, I might step over here and call him real quick.
Yeah.
This will go just fine in my hive.
He caught us, Rob. Our plan got busted.
How you want to do it? Give me how you want to do it.
It will. If you don't have that in there, it's gonna really gonna.
I got a neighbor who's
he's been helping with building woodware, so
That's mine too.
I tried to give him some money, and he says, no. He said, I just want some honey with the comb in it. So that's where I got into buying those.
Danny has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hives. He's about ready to get an 11th hive. So they split the hive what Nancy's working on. They've also split the hive what Chris is working on.
You have no protection. The wires in there.
His apiary is busting out.
If you ever get a foundation, let's take your pen and write down foundation.
I think the best
Write
way
it on that
would
frame.
be that once
You'll
we
really
fill
appreciate
this up with frames, because in the moving, if it's not full, the frames might do this.
Yeah,
and then
yeah. that's
somebody's
it.
going to
There
get
you go.
banged and
Right,
wrecked.
right. That makes sense.
So when it's full enough to where it won't jostle too much, then we can
Yeah, they're awesome.
move it.
It's where your spacers are kind of nice.
Yes.
We have spacers in hives. It only allows you to put 9 frames in a hive, but
What's in that bottle? What you spraying, man?
It's got sugar water and a
I
little
wish
bit
they
of
had it for
honeybee
these 8
milk.
frames, but they don't.
I got you.
Yeah.
Essential
I
oils
would
with
like to keep them 8
lemongrass.
frames, but I
Yeah.
wish they had spacers where you didn't have to sit there and,
These just
right,
love
because it also gives them the bee space
Yeah.
that they need when you're
Question, buddy.
when
Why
you're
did you go
pulling
to
them out.
those frames just so they wouldn't
I got a
stand
bad
out?
How
back.
did you make it?
I did too. Until I
bought
found
it.
was
There are online
causing it.
recipes. You could make
That's a
your own.
lot better, but
that's the biggest
okay,
thing.
okay.
That's
There's
the only
one
reason.
lady in our
But
club
just
that goes
if
for 8
women are going to
frames,
do it,
too.
they have to keep that in mind. I mean, especially if you're out here by yourself.
I just,
If you're a
I
good,
said I got a
strong
bad
woman.
back.
Oh, come on, I lift up.
know?
I'm having to shear sheep. I don't want to.
Well,
my back's
you-
hurting.
I
I'm
have
thinking, oh, this is a lot of work. I might go help
I
fast.
have met you then, probably Sharon sheep.
No, I just started my first
Oh,
year.
did
I just had my
you?
first ones this year.
Really?
Yeah. So, it's a little much to have some with pneumonia right now, and I'm a little overwhelmed by it. I know. Everybody says it all
Well,
the time.
I had a dog with, what do you call it, Lyme disease, right, when I'm getting my treatment, and she has quite the constitution, it's like
I've been looking, but I haven't
and
seen
twice
it.
a day for 21
I don't think
days.
I would see it. Don't worry.
I have a 13-year-old that, I just say, this
tears
is what
you
the
up.
heck she's doing. Going out there, and I'll hold it, close my eyes, and start crying.
Phyllis tried to get the capsule down in the throat, and she couldn't even get her. I mean, she
Nancy, if you need me, holler, huh?
All right,
So
And
I
you do
finally-
whatever you think's best.
all right,
That's-
thank you.
finally got through the 21 days.
It's
and,
hard, though.
Oh, it tears you up, but had I not been sick myself, I
And his
probably would have
wings
found it
extend
easier,
pretty
but
much the whole length of
I
his
try to
body.
camouflage it every way I know,
It's hard because they know.
and then to trim it down her throat, she was so traumatized.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
awful.
They can. Now, if they're already mating
you get
and
hot?
laying eggs, they don't
Yeah,
fly far because they're so heavy.
Yeah.
You have to really aggravate them to get them to fly off of the frame.
He's on the
Now,
phone.
if there's
He's
a
on the phone.
little young queen who's not yet mated, she'll fly off in a heartbeat.
He's trying to meet Rocky.
Now.
Will, will she come back?
He was on his way here.
Bummer.
Right here.
Then what we'll need to do here is,
What I'm interested in on them.
if somebody can take that, and I don't know if the bottom board is fully attached or not, so you may have to. I have 8. I have less than what we've got here. If you're gonna need
He's
to,
overwhelming.
well, you just start with a couple and then you gradually grow as you want to, or as your husband does. There's nothing wrong with having just 2 hives. Some people just have 1, although it's better to start with 2 so you can move from one to the other if needed. If you're shaking bees off of a frame, straight up and down. Because if I shook it too hard like this, then this whole thing of wax would come out. Some actually
I did,
try to.
but I just didn't have the
Other tools.
whole, it wasn't a whole starter kit, it was just supers themselves. That wasn't the way I could get a new swarm.
Yeah, which we need to make sure you have.
Since we're going to kind of stagger frames like we did,
I will take half those out.
we got 4. We'll put at least
We haven't
7
seen
in
yet.
this lowest one, and then
Have
more in the one above it.
Well, that one's the one that had the big queen in
Well,
it.
she's definitely got to be in these.
This, for those of you who are kind of new, this is a plastic type of foundation. And if there's enough wax on it to start with, and there's nectar or sugar or something, they'll draw it out.
They can draw it out with feeding them sugar syrup. That's enough.
If these frames go into this box this time of year and they don't get fed, ain't nothing gonna happen. So I'll mention that to him. Sometimes even with beeswax this time of year, because there's hardly any nectar left.
Right.
So I would, if these were mine, I would be feeding them a thin sugar syrup so they can go ahead and be drawing out the wax here.
Where,
And like I say, I'm going to stagger these as well. These that aren't yet drawn out, I'm going to put closer to the middle.
that's how I feel about my sheep guy, but this is way too much.
And then stuff that's not drawn, that is drawn out to the far outside, because they don't go that far out to the outside to draw stuff out usually.
There's this one in the tree.
I mean, they will, but
Eventually.
yeah, eventually.
Future brother-in-law.
Okay, this one was closest to the brood before, so it probably had more brood in it, so we're going to have it closest to where most of the brood is. In terms of frame by frame, warm time of year, you don't necessarily have to put it exactly as you found it, but I would suggest if you can, box by box, with a few exceptions.
Try to get them in the same location.
Pretty much, so it's not such a drastic adjustment for them.
Now she's got the 2 big hives. It's definitely gonna knock you in.
And as you would expect, closer to the outside, mostly food, yep, lots of honey. The next frame over, I would expect to find more pollen. When you're getting closer to brood, you're going to find more pollen. And that's the way they set it up. Most of the pollen goes somewhere near either where they are already raising brood or where they are planning to, because so much of that pollen goes to make baby food. That's the primary use of pollen in an active beehive, is to make baby food. It's used for a lot of things, but most of it goes to make baby food. See, these two are both palm. I was just trying to figure which is the palmest to get an idea where the queen might be.
Right.
She's looking a little bit dark. Don't forget, I want to see the queen.
Would you expect her to be on one of these where it's mostly honey?
No.
Now, why is that? Explain that to me, somebody.
Because there's not enough room for her. However,
To lay eggs.
yes, but she did go to this one because there are eggs in the bottom center. She just needed room, and she went to where she could find it, and the bees cleaned out the bottom middle of this frame because they knew, she said to them, hey, I need room.
Need to make some babies.
Need some babies.
Need to put some down somewhere.
Yep.
They're more established.
See, there's more brood on that. Got brood there in the middle.
Nancy, does the queen stand out to you when you see them?
Most of the time, yes, but there's been times, hasn't there, Jack, where we've looked for, I don't know how long.
I've got one hive
hours.
that's beat her for 3 years. 3 years. That girl knows how to hide. Dude, we found her. We found her about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
We didn't mark her.
You didn't mark her?
No, should have, but we didn't.
They mark them with different colors sometimes to tell you what year that comes from. I don't know if it's old queen.
Actually, by now it's probably her daughter or granddaughter that we found.
How long does the queen usually last?
3 to 5 years. Is that right, Nancy? A queen? 3 years?
They can last that long, but they're usually not productive for that long. About 1 or 2 years is the average. And then sometimes you're lucky enough to have them to be productive longer than that. I miss her and I miss her and I miss her again. I'm going to just trim a little bit of this burr comb off because it was keeping this from going all the way down.
You want me to hold it while you do that? No, you got it.
What in the heck was that noise? It was slamming against the side of my suit. I mean, my swing. And you'd be like,
Burr comb.
remember that we added these cones.
Yeah, that's the extra comb that they build in a place that they think is convenient, but for the beekeeper it's not
Okay.
so much.
They just drawn out every cell field.
They come down already.
Literally every. He said, oh yeah. And I saw it last
Not near as slime like they were.
Yeah, not as ornery as they were.
So maybe she is already in there, doggone it.
Oh, you think she's in the box already because they're calm?
That's what I'm thinking, that's very possible.
Missed her somehow, huh? Yeah, I don't see her in there either. Not that I'm an expert, but...
Just queens are
A little button cell down there. A couple of them.
Be nice.
You said they're
They were starting to think about it.
Yeah, queens are very good at hiding. There she is.
Where? You found her? Where's she at?
Right? Keep
Where?
your finger still.
Okay.
Right
Oh, there she is. Yep, I see her.
Where?
So you got a marker. She's right there. She's crawling.
Spanish looking one?
She's crawling.
Got a different color, doesn't she?
What do you need, a marker?
There's a bag.
Can I zoom in there and
See that?
Yeah.
look at her?
Yeah,
right-
that bag over there.
He
In the
wants to
yellow
know-
one.
He wants to know if she can zoom in. He can zoom in and look at her. Yep, she's moving
I
around
had her.
right
Where'd she
there.
go? There she is. don't know if
She
I got
would
her
be
or not.
blue. You can just take the whole color pack. There's a pack of markers. It's got, I think, 5 of them in there.
Wow.
Look
I
at her.
hope I'm getting her. There she is.
That's
Yeah,
her right
check her
here.
out. Yep,
Right
that's
there.
it.
Well, it's hard
right
to see
there.
on the screen what.
Yeah, because of the dadgum sun.
Yep. But I just hope and pray I'm
No.
getting
Sorry.
her. Okay.
Oh, they're not happy with you.
You don't have to put her in this thing, but it just makes it a lot easier. You could just take the queen's legs or by the thorax, that part that's right behind her head. And see, I have her trapped to where her thorax, the spot I'm going to mark, is in a square.
Nice.
So I can mark her through that little square.
Can I show the camera, Nancy?
She came out of her square.
There we go.
This is the part that's a little bit tricky because you need to trap her tight enough where she's immobilized.
But not squish her.
That's
Yes.
exactly right.
Is that like paint stick?
That's actually one of those really cool, all of a sudden it left me. Yeah, it's like paint cans.
They're looking for her, aren't they?
Paint marker is what they call it.
So they try
That'd
to
be way
find
better
her.
than any other marker.
Probably.
You just gonna put her back on here again?
Tell you what, if you'll just set that in there right next
Okay.
to this frame. I'd suggest after marking a queen, giving it a minute or two for the paint to dry.
I like giving it a good 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
because
the
we
bees-
put her in there and come back a couple weeks later, the paint's gone. They lick it off.
Sometimes they'll
They
still
lick
eat
it off?
Yeah, sometimes they'll still eat it off after it's dried, but not as quickly. What I like to do is
They're
leave
taking
the,
them off.
I like to leave the queen in this thing until I put all the
They're
frames
moving
back,
again.
He was awfully big. I thought it was a drone.
and then release her on top of the frames.
Okay.
And let her just crawl back down in between the box.
I haven't been stung yet, knock on wood.
How long have you been doing it?
Just a year.
Yeah.
But I usually, when I get in my
And notice how she leaves it up on top of there so that they can still get her pheromone scent.
Oh,
She took it over there somewhere, then they start getting agitated.
that's good.
When you put her back, it's best to go ahead and watch her go down between the frames. Once in a while, she might just keep walking across and decide to take a flying leap.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often, but you don't want to miss it if it does.
Oh man, where they?
Get her sugar roll.
And then some here because
Nancy
I'm
doing
initially
sugar
going to
roll.
dump these in the tub, and for them to slide around easy so I can pour them
Okay.
into there, I want a little bit of sugar in there. And again, you use your own method.
Those drones are just going crazy. Son.
So what I'm going to do get to where the brood area is, because when you're collecting bees for testing varroa mites, then the brood area is where the varroa mites tend to hang out. So that's where you need to collect your bees from.
Brood area's gonna be down the bottom?
Yep, see that?
That's a queen excluder.
Unless there was another escape like in there, or she got trapped up here, the brood is all going to be down here.
If they're mean, they're mean.
It looks like we may have another hive attack. Because see, again, there were a lot of them on the inner cover here. They fill up
Yeah, that's
faster
right. He
than
didn't mean
mainframe
anything.
hives than they will in
We don't need you make them more like it. Is this our last one? See, I came down and then the sun
some way to get them off without
Hmm.
getting all badly screwed up.
Oh, I thought
Look how full that is.
Yeah, that's
So,
packed.
what might Danny need to consider doing?
Put another super on there, or
I think I will.
split the hive, one or two, right? Dan, you ready to split another hive? It looks like this one's full.
You got another hive full of bees.
She said you're filled up.
That one is this year. That's a new hive from this year.
Oh, I thought this one was established last year.
Wow, it's filled.
That's a new hive. That's one of those Georgia queens that I put in there.
This is just a good year for bees, I'm telling you, because that's what my swarms have been doing. My gosh.
The four middle hives, Nancy,
Look at that.
are the old hive from
Oh, okay,
last year.
that's right. We didn't get quite two of that yet.
Chris got the first two, and
Well, then maybe I should do. Where I was going to do a sugar roll. Well, we can still do it here to see it done,
Yes.
but they're not as likely to be a mite problem.
okay.
Now, this is not a small hive beetle. It looks a lot like the one that got flattened earlier,
We'll flatten him.
but the antennae don't have the little flappers on the ends. So this is just another, looks somewhat like a kudzu bug, but not totally. So this is just, these don't bother bees.
Okay.
Now, they might bother something in a garden, I don't know. But I just wanted to point out that's not a small hive beetle.
It's ladybug food right there. Yeah, I got a bunch of ladybugs. I buy them every year in praying mantises. Pretty heavy.
Oh, yeah,
Fairly.
the queen excluder
Can you
stuck
pull
on it.
that-
Excluder off.
Thank you. Here's what I'm going to do. Set the excluder.
Back on there, so.
Yeah, so that if we put another box and it happens to have the queen in it, she
Okay.
can't go into the honey super there.
No luck, Gladys.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you look in the glove box?
Yeah.
Probably this
Maybe I
is
took
a
it off
deal
at
box
some
to
point.
collect bees. You can
Here,
get
she's doing a
300
sugar roll.
bees off
Let me
of
see if I
one
can
hive.
find it.
Oh, I don't know if she's around when she's doing a sugar roll.
This one you might be able to.
No, as long as it's
And I love Peter 400 days.
I want to get it.
I think it's gonna have to be the last one.
It's not till you dump the bees back in that the bee gets all.
Well, yeah,
Let's take a frame out of that one.
yeah, because collecting the bees, since they have to be in that jar for a few minutes, I usually go ahead and take care of that and look further through the hive while they're in the jar. And again, what I'm looking for is a frame full of brood, and I suspect there's a lot of brood all over in this. I already see a frame here that looks really appealing, because I can see from the side there's brood on it, and there's plenty of room, it looks like, around it, so I can pull it out without rubbing or hurting a lot of other bees. However, if the queen's on that frame, I probably don't want to shake a bunch of bees off it initially. But since he wants his queens marked, if they're not already marked, this would be a way to trap her in the marking thing and still be able to dump the rest of the bees for a varroa mite test.
That's all the smoke it takes, huh?
Just enough to move them out of the way, because see, they're not all in our faces or... use a lot of smoke and you don't need it, then you distract the bees, and they are paying more attention to you and less to the bee.
Gotcha. Wow. Look at all this on this side here.
Well, you got bees there anyway.
What is that right
And
there?
Plenty of
you got a double
Those are
hive
drone
there, or
cells.
no?
Okay.
Lots of
Oh,
larvae.
Hey, whoa, that hurt.
I just got stung a couple times now.
Really, you're ticking them off.
Yeah.
Pull that thing out of there. Pull it out the way.
Stay
it
away
went
from
in.
him.
It'll feel
Nancy,
better.
we need to put a another deep on that one.
Another something would be good.
All right, you tell me what you think.
Well, being that you kind of like the double deep for overwintering, I guess, but you've said already you prefer that. So
Well,
another deep-
I'm going
Yeah.
to try it. I mean, I've got some with and some without. Whatever you think's best.
I think another deep would work fine.
Would you put a deep or would you just add another super? Which one you want to
I would add a deep.
do? Okay. We're going to have to swap some frames around because all these are new frames.
Yeah, we'll sort of do a little bit of checkerboarding.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
This frame has quite a head. Now, do you want me to just sort of stand to the side and you do the workings? I'm okay with that, or if you want,
Why
I'll
don't
work
you
the
just
hive.
jump in and I'm gonna watch.
Some of you have not ever seen these screened inner covers. Especially in the spring. These are so helpful because let's say Kim had put on a super 10 days ago. And she mainly just wants to know, if they've drawn it out enough, do I need to put another one? She doesn't even have to open this. She can see right through there that what the bees are doing.
Anybody know how much those cost?
There.
You buy the
Like
wire off
$10.
Amazon and you get your boards out of your scrap pile and
That's what
Yeah,
we done ours.
You could make your own, but if you buy them, it depends. You can get them, if you buy them 5 or more at a time, they're a little cheaper than if you get them one at a time. One at a time, they're probably about what,
$10 maybe.
10 or 12?
We run them all year long. Screened.
you're running them in the winter.
Yep.
In the winter, what they often do is see where they have this, which is more wax than propolis, it looks like. But in the winter time, they will build a layer of propolis all around the edges, which is no big deal. Doesn't hurt them any. So you could leave them on all year. It's an excellent way to ventilate a hive. And robbers can't get in anyway. So there's a lot of advantages to these kind of.
We did it because we didn't want the condensation on the top inner cover dropping on the bees. Wet bees or dead bees.
Now what you see so far without even having removed anything, what do you, I guess it'd be easier to tell once I get this off, but just to sort of get used to looking at hives from the top.
Everybody seems to be in the middle.
So when I put this package in, I did have a frame of honey, a full frame of honey for them, and then I had 2 drawn out frames of comb. And then everything else was just foundation.
Okay. Can you all see where the
And
three?
that's where on both of these. So
Yeah.
those are the old ones. 1 is honey and 2 is just was drawn out foundation.
And these, you said about 3 weeks ago?
About 3 weeks, yeah.
So look what they've done in 3 weeks from a package. Based on what we saw in some of the others, what do you think? It's jumping to a conclusion in a way, but what do you think about the potential of this queen?
Good, so
She's a good queen.
For them to draw out this much in that period of time. The only one I see that they haven't worked much is this. And that we can move a little closer to the middle to get them busy.
she's got them motivated.
I think they'll do fine with another layer without having to move anything from there.
Okay.
But to confirm that rather than me just jumping to some conclusion and then I'm wrong again, we'll take a frame or 2 out just to really see. Now in this situation, the easiest one to take out first would be this one over to the side because I haven't really done anything in terms of drawing it out. So we can take it out without likely hurting anybody. Whereas any of these others that are already drawn out might smash somebody. And I think the only reason they haven't really worked much on this is just because it's way over to the side. So I would put that undrawn one either here or the next one over. Either place would be fine. This one here probably has some food. I don't know. She could have already gotten over here and started laying. It feels pretty light.
They're just starting to dry up.
Well, they're partially.
Yeah, they've got some.
What's all the
nectar.
shiny stuff?
That's either nectar or sugar water that they've stored up. Anytime you see something that shiny and you don't see any white stuff, it's pretty much always going to be nectar or sugar
Now,
water.
would they rob from the frame of honey that I put in there and put it in another location, or would they
They
just go ahead?
might.
They might. Okay.
They might. These
Yeah.
are very good about moving stuff around
Okay.
like that. With this one being so much more drawn out on one side than the other, I like to have the side that needs the most work facing the most
inside.
bees. And then in this situation, I'm going to put this over that way. They'll still get to it if it's the next to the last frame. What would you expect to see on the next frame?
Brood.
Probably.
Possible queen.
Maybe. Brood and food for sure, I would expect. And the queen may be on it because of its proximity to the middle.
Are your queens marked?
They are not.
Do you want them marked if we see them?
That would be awesome.
Alright, what do you see on this one? Oh boy. Well, I see a very productive queen's work on this frame. Man. She's got it going on, Kim.
Yay!
I'll pass this around if y'all want to look, because there are lots and lots of young larvae in
Ooh,
those
look
cells,
at that one over
and
there.
there are some eggs in there as well. And those larvae are being well fed also. There's a lot of shiny white liquid food in there with the larvae. And that tells you you've got plenty enough nurse bees to feed them. And you also have, those nurse bees have access to a lot of good food, mostly pollen, that they can make good baby food and feed it to them.
Oh yeah, I see a bunch of them down there.
Would you be willing to move one way or the other so the light comes? Thank you. So that's a good example for people that need to be able to practice seeing eggs or seeing young larvae who are being well fed.
Do you have a queen cage, Nancy? No.
I've got one.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, what do you want a queen cage?
Well, in case you find her and mark her.
She's got that
Oh, I thought she was trying to steal your
You
good.
can't steal my queen.
You want to hold it?
No. If we find the queen,
There we go.
okay. I should ask you. Do you have a queen cage?
I do have a queen
Oh wow.
That's your capped brood pattern.
Woohoo!
Now that,
Wall to wall.
it
That's a
doesn't
good
get
one.
much better than that. Now you can see there are lines in there where the bees don't like drawing out and laying in wire. Where the vertical wires go in these type of frames. Many times you'll find those are empty brood cells, which is no big deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
She's got an awesome
that's
pattern.
a small percentage, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't have anything that looks like
she's
it.
really filling them up. So you got a very nice, good productive queen.
Where'd you buy the package?
I got the package from Brian Fisher.
Brian Fisher out of
He's up in
Cartersville area.
Kannapolis, yeah.
Kannapolis, I'm sorry.
Cool.
Yeah. He's pretty active in the Cabarrus County. Group. Okay, that's right. What is that? Let's find that. That one's got way over.
You sound pretty sure. Bunch of these guys are family on here.
Because there's missing somebody.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Look at that. Boy. That's what you want a queen to do. She's laid as far out to the edges as she had room available. And also notice the ring of pollen right past the capped brood.
That's like perfect.
And food on top of that.
And honey on top of that. That's just so natural for the bees to set things up that way. Notice that they're just staying on the frame, minding their own business. Now, what about this little doodad in the middle there? What does that look like?
Queen?
Maybe starting a queen cell.
Oh, really?
Oh, now I see.
Now, bees just really want to make those things in the spring. So the way to know if they're really serious about it is if there's anything in there. And I don't see anything in there. There's a second one further down on the frame that's just recently started. In the situation where we've seen eggs, the bees are calm, gotta be a queen in here. As well as she's doing, we don't want them to replace her while you're gone out somewhere.
Right.
So what I would do, if it's all right with you, is just kind of squish those little things, because otherwise they might start making a replacement queen. Maybe for whatever reason we don't know about. Maybe they're thinking about swarming, although this is not the usual location for queen cells that are going to be part of a swarm. That's usually around the bottoms. But that way they can't sneak up on you with anything at a bad time. Sometimes bees choose time that's great for them, but bad for
Not
you
so
to do
good,
stuff
yeah.
like swarm or whatever. But I just love this pattern that she's got in there. Because it's warm enough in the year to do this, I'm going to go ahead and put that in between these two. If it were going to be cold at night, I wouldn't dare separate two brood frames.
Okay.
But they'll do just fine, and that will get them probably pretty busy on this one, drawing it out, being that it's that close to the middle, and they are going to kind of need that room.
Get him some motivation.
All right, out of these two, if we didn't miss the queen, and I could have missed her, but which of those do you think she might be on?
First one.
Yeah, this one would be my guess.
And talk about why that is.
Closer to the brood.
Closer
Closer
to the
to the middle.
Yeah.
But again, we found them on the edges too,
Yeah.
so.
And there are actually plenty of bees on both of these frames.
Yeah.
So maybe she is and maybe she isn't, but that's the one benefit of a small hive, it's easier to find the queen. Okay, she moved all the way to the edge. See how much pollen they've got up there near the top, above the brood area.
Lots of brood still.
Yeah. I mean, every cell. So probably if there was another week or two without any additional room added, they might start thinking about a swarm, because when you think about it, all these that are right now under cappings are going to be out as adults. There's going to be a little bit of natural die-off from this hive, just old ladies or whatever, but they're not going to die off as much as the new ones are going to come along. So this is one where the queen is doing very well. Plenty of bees. They'll have no trouble drawing out another box put on top of them.
Okay.
And if you decided to go with a second hive body, then you could use one of these frames down here as a bait frame to put about somewhere near the middle of your second story to get the bees to come up and start working a little bit more quickly.
Okay.
You can't do that if you have a super, because it's different size frames. So, but either way, you know, I'm confident either way they'll draw it out and work it really nicely. So that would be up to you as to whether you wanted to do a super or a hive body. Do you have any other equipment
I've got
ready?
plenty of equipment, yeah.
With wax and frames on? Okay. Well, good for you. Well, whatever your decision is, if you want, we'll do it.
We can do it
while
right
we're
now.
here.
Sure.
Where do you want to put that one back in? The frame he's in.
Probably going to put it, because there are eggs and young larvae, and therefore I'd want them more protected. I'd
Need
probably
some
put
help?
them right there. This one probably has the queen, but also we could
Find
take
her
her
a marker?
off, mark her, and while
Mhm.
she's in that thing, move this one up as a bait frame because there's probably a bit of food on it. I don't know. She may have found that that's the only spot she has room left to lay eggs. It's sure light though, so.
I see her right there.
Good eye. Good eye,
Yep.
Clarence. Oh, she's a big one.
Nice looking queen. And what I like to look for is when she has stopped or slowed down, see how quickly they crowd around her.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only real indication you're going to have that's obvious as to how good her pheromone scent is. And that's important to the bees.
Bring your queen cage too. We found her.
Does she have markers?
I can get yours if you want to.
Okay.
Maybe we put this.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, if you'll put that one.
Oh no, I'm talking like a queen catcher.
No, I don't have that.
Okay. You got one, Nancy? I get it. Wait.
By winter, they may not have done anything with the outside frame. They may do the center for winter pretty good.
Yeah, what I would expect here, being what I've already seen down here with a productive queen and busy bees, I would expect that by the end of June, they have at least 4 or 5 of these fairly well drawn out. Then I would rotate them a little bit, just like we did in the bottom box, the one that was way over there, bring it closer to the middle, so they can be working that as well and get it fully drawn out. So that by I'd say the 1st of September, there's a really good chance all this will all be drawn out.
Okay.
It would be up to Kim at that point, would she want to put a super above them, but being that she doesn't have drawn comb, it'd probably be best to just leave it like this. But it depends on how productive this queen continues to be. A really good queen is going to lay a lot of stuff full here, but no matter how good the queen is, the day length is a strong factor in her amount of laying every day. So that as the days start to get shorter after late June, her egg laying is going to drop just a little bit, gradually. Yeah. So she may not be able to fill up more than this. That being said, next winter, about between mid and late February, as crazy as it sounds, when it's that cold, I'd be adding another box to this.
Okay.
And feed them. And just because that way you could potentially have 3 hive bodies full of bees when it's late April and there's either heavy nectar or you might want to split them into more hives. Okay. But these look really good. Any questions from anybody about this hive? Does it make sense what we did about adding a box?
Yep.
Is this wax something that I should take off, or they're gonna do what they want to do anyway?
Yeah, that was their message of, Kim, we're sure liking another box. And they do the same thing between boxes in March and April when there's not been something else put.
Yeah.
That's their message. Ooh, we sure would have been willing to work more wax if we'd have had it.
If you turn it this way, you can kind of read that.
Yeah. I'm getting that.
But most of the hives I go to in March or April have that going on between the boxes or somewhere, because most people don't know that you can start adding foundation as early as February.
Okay.
They won't draw it out real fast, but they'll work on it, because when they got a productive queen like this, they want to make room for her. She might have taken a winter vacation in November and December, but doggone it, she's going to get back to business in January. And so she'll kind of gradually work on her egg laying rate. But by the middle of February, she's starting to really crank it out, and they want to make more room for her to keep laying eggs. So if they don't have enough room in terms of wax to work, they'll just start making more room by putting wax between the boxes. And then she lays it with brood, which is okay, but it's a lot of work on their part that could have been more constructed in some frames.
That's right. That my mistake was that you were given space early enough.
And we all do that. It's just sometimes hard to keep up with it. So,
All right.
grade A, B, C, D, E, F. This is an A hive.
Yay! All right, number 3. Way to go, girls. Yes.
I'm Brian called and asked me to do a program for Rowan County. He's a part of that group also. And I'm scheduled to do that a week from Monday. So he'll be so happy when I say, ooh, Brian, look at your apiary. Let me tell you how great they looked. Hope I didn't speak too soon. Yeah. Fair, not great. Larvae okay, but then when she's really rolling, you'll see a steady stream of eggs all over in a pretty good sized patch. Okay. So even one that gets a slow start, if you see that with the eggs and young larvae pretty full, then I would keep her on.
Okay.
Sometimes my experience has been that after a pep talk, Queen woke up and started to work, but then she forgot what she was told and goes back to slackness. That's more common in the older queens though.
What's your thought on feeding them during nectar flow?
I think a new hive starter, any that's got wax to draw out. Only ones I wouldn't feed during a nectar flow are the ones that are really busy, already well established in making honey.
Yeah. Okay. That's a little better.
Look at that.
That one looks good. Queen on there?
Don't see her on this side. See, look at that. So we don't necessarily want to ditch the girl that put all those eggs in there. And this is, that top right there. Yeah. And look at they're almost falling over themselves trying to get near her, so she must have good pheromones.
You're light colored bathroom.
You gonna catch her too?
Yeah.
And this is a good example of why it pays to look through at least 2 or more frames of a queen's work before you decide is she doing her job or not.
She's coming right there. She's moving along, isn't she?
Do anybody else want any more? Now, do you want to practice catching her in that? Sure. Okay. Basically, what I find to be useful is that I sort of help control where she goes with the soft thing, and scoop her up with the other. Even if you get other bees in there with her, that's not going to hurt anything. Sometimes you kind of push her into there.
She's catching the queen. That's what she's doing now. She's catching the queen.
You're a fast little girl.
And that's also, believe it or not, something you want in a queen. That's a survival instinct that might have kept her from getting in car wrecks and other injury.
Come here, you. All right, all right, all right. I'm pissing everybody off. Here. Come here. Come here.
You're doing good.
Oops, I saw it.
Good golly, girl. Lost her.
Anybody else here that has bees have a garden, ever trying to figure out a way to kill the beetle, the stuff that's eating your garden without doing anything to hurt the bees?
Good job.
Plant more.
Yeah, I got a list I'll give you of stuff that's okay to use as in terms of pesticides, whether it's insecticides or herbicides. There's okay to use around bees, and then there's some on another part of the chart that's not okay to use around bees. So I'll give you one of those.
I'm getting those beetles in my squash and everything. I don't know what they're called. Plus, I got Japanese beetles on the roses and the grapes. And
Nah, Japanese beetles.
yeah, they're a tough one, aren't they?
Right. We did milky spore.
Yeah, to kill the grubs.
We put it down in the yard.
Let me. Dad, come here.
Pike's has it.
Here's the queen.
Pike's nursery.
So we're gonna mark
Where else
her.
have it? Maybe
We mark
Southern
the
States
other one.
call around first.
Okay.
Southern
It's like
States
it's
should
like
have
a
it
powder
too.
you sprinkle on the ground?
Yeah, you broadcast it.
Broadcast.
We got a broadcaster if you
Another
want,
for
if you
I
need.
got one.
Okay.
Probably real 3 minutes.